Oh, gosh, man. What happened to you?
Balanced. It must be balanced.
Whoa. Hold up. What are you talking about?
I'm balancing for the combat, the boss encounter for tomorrow's game.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, I don't know. What does time matter? I've been here since lunchtime.
It's 3 a.m. Hey everyone, welcome to The Grit and Glory, where we learn how to improve the gaming experience. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. But now, onto the video. So, we all know that trying to balance D&D combat encounters is a joke. The CR system is completely out of whack, doesn't take into account special monster abilities or magic items. Plus, expects you to have 8 encounters a day. Who has 8 encounters a day? I don't. I know most of you don't. So, it's basically useless, right? But I'm not here just to parrot the same things that everyone else has said 100 times before. What we're here to do is tell you what you should do about it. Well, what should you do about it? Nothing.
What?
That's right, you shouldn't do anything, because who cares that it's unbalanced, right? It's not a football game, it's a battle of life and death. It should be unbalanced. That's how it usually works. The enemies try and stack up their advantage and you try and stack up yours. The Deficient Master has an amazing video on how to do this with D&D mechanics, but that's not really my kind of thing. I don't get why we should have to try and twist and contort the D&D mechanics to fit this style of play when that's not what they're made to do. And in Grit and Glory, you don't, because we built the combat mechanics, the monster abilities, even the player abilities around the concept of combat as war. You don't want the fight with your big bad to look like this.
Are you using your timeout?
You want it to look like this.
Stop! Are you crazy?
Enemies should be tricky and play dirty, especially if they're evil. And players should do the same, right? It's a battle of life and death. There shouldn't be any rules or code of gentlemanly behavior. That table over there, why not flip it and use it for cover? Or smash through the wall entirely?
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut!
And that should allow players and monsters really creative, cool ways to do massive damage and feel super cool. That support beam that's holding up the cave, why not take it down? Warning, bringing down a cave may result in collateral damage. Grit and Glory is not liable for any friendships that may be destroyed as a result. The thing is, yes, you are playing a game, but no, you're not playing a video game. And we can use and abuse this difference for our own benefit. Enemies don't have to be divided into neat little boxes. They should act and react how a creature whose life is being threatened actually would. If they know they have 20 friends in the other room, they're sure as hell gonna try and get them before they die.
Run for your life!
And the great thing is that when you play like this, the stakes are so much higher because your players know you're not messing around anymore. If they play stupid games, they'll win stupid prizes. This can really raise the tension in combat, and it can change the goal of the combat itself. Suddenly, your goal isn't just to kill everyone on sight. Now you have to worry about blocking off that door or collapsing that tunnel before reinforcements get here. But in order to make this system work, you as the GM will have to change how you play monsters. If every single creature just attacks on sight and to the death, then this system will result in a lot more TPKs. What you have to do is not only give your players a lot more warning shots, but You also have to make sure that when combat does arise, they have the opportunity to talk their way out of it. And a great way to do that is using our social encounter system, which I show off in this video. Or allow them the option to sneak around it, or whatever cool idea that they come up with to desperately avoid it. But even in the scenario where every single attempt to avoid it has failed, or where they don't make those attempts to begin with, you don't necessarily need to make it a
Dead battle!
The goal of combat shouldn't always just be to kill everyone, always on sight, right? Killing all the enemies is a great goal for combat, and it is fun, and probably should be the goal like 70% of the time or something, right? But not all of the time. Sometimes you should be escorting or destroying or protecting something or evacuating yourself or reaching a specific point. And to be completely honest, the goal doesn't always have to be assigned. Maybe you thought that this combat would be about protecting that crystal, but the players figured out if they destroy this bridge, then the enemies can't get here. So that's what they focus on. Just allow the combat to evolve naturally. But yeah, you can already do this stuff in D&D, man. What new mechanics have you even actually added? Can you though? I mean, let's just look at the idea of destroying something as the objective for a combat. The rules for destroying objects, sure, they exist in D&D, but they're complicated and weird and lackluster, especially when we're talking about massive objects or multi-storied objects. It just ruins the whole thing. And if we're talking about spellcasters, most spells can only target creatures anyway. So if you're going by raw, that really restricts you. Changing those rules alone in Grit and Glory obviously has a massive impact. But the single biggest rule change that changes combat from sport to war in Grit and Glory is the integration of morale as a core system.
He's gone.
Because one simple truth is that combat is messy and terrifying. So I have no idea why WotC got rid of morale, or rather why they relegated it to an optional rule. So in Grit and Glory, we not just made it a combat and core rule, we've doubled down on it. We've tripled down on it. We've made it so that there are monster abilities that affect other monsters' morale. There are abilities for players to target morale. There are specific callouts for when GMs should use morale, because nothing screams war more than your enemies running in terror as your party chase them down to slaughter them like animals.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
But another major rule in Grit and Glory that really amplifies this combat as war idea is how we made the monsters to begin with. We didn't just slap them with basic resistances and vulnerabilities. As cool as they can be in D&D, they're just modifiers to a number, a bag of HP. We've actually given monsters unique cool reactions to different damage types to make them more interesting and dynamic, as it would be in real life. But I talk about the entire combat changes in this video here, right? And I actually talk about the legendary creatures and the changes we've done to them in this other video here. Wow, I'm sending you guys to a lot of videos, aren't I? Don't worry, you could watch them later. Monsters in Grit and Glory are made to be like combat puzzles, figuring out their weaknesses and their strengths as you fight them. It's another reason that we have encouraged players to prepare and plan ahead and not just charge ruthlessly into the deep. But if that is what you want to do, go ahead. But this does give the option for that Witcher style campaign I know you've been dying for.
As you go through the bushes and keep an eye for the tracks, they lead out to a path, a clearing, where you see this great beast laying atop its eggs. It is a dragon turtle.
Crap, that thing is way too strong for us.
But imagine how much those eggs will sell for. We're gonna be rich.
Well, we can't sell them if we're dead.
The thing is though, he wouldn't have put it here if we weren't strong enough to beat it.
Yeah, exactly, he's right. Let's just attack it.
10 seconds later.
As you stand there, your friends lying dead at your feet, the dragon turtle lifts up its jaw and clamps down on you, and you die.
So this is not what we want to have happen in this system. A TPK is fine, right? They're not something that should be banned, but it's why this TPK happened that I have a problem with. The players saw that there was a fight, a monster that looked way too powerful for them, but They knew they were in a game, so they assumed it had been balanced for them.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Which is why when you have a session 0, which you can see a video about here, you should tell your players that this is a combat as war game. The world will keep on going regardless of what they do, and the strong enemies are not going to wait for them to level up before they begin existence.
Finally, some action.
Not only does this make your world feel more real and alive, but it also makes your players more invested in it, because they know that if they aren't invested in it, then their precious characters might actually die. And once they realize that that is true, then retreating becomes a much more frequently considered option. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you should just be bludgeoning your players over the head with OP encounter after OP encounter. No, that would just be boring and not fun, and also not realistic, right? There will be a range of strengths, and a majority of the creatures will be of the lower strength, right? And there is, of course, a difficulty rating for every monster in Grit and Glory, because we do want you to have the option to know roughly how strong a monster is. We don't want you to have to blindly guess, right? But what we're saying here is that you shouldn't micromanage everything. And if an encounter seems like it will be a big risk, let it happen, but just give them a fair heads up in game. So forget balance and embrace war. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, check out the website in the description below, where you'll find details about the Kickstarter that's going live in September, so make sure to back it. And in the meantime, you can check out my Patreon for more exclusive content, or for YouTube content, you can look here.